In this episode of Artists and Chefs at Home, we'll be visiting a stunning designer home in Prosper, Texas. Artist Leticia Herrera will create a tablescape inspired by the ancient Mayan ruins of Tulum, Mexico. Chef Beto Lira will continue that theme in the kitchen with a meal that captures the flavors and traditions of Mexico's Caribbean coast. I'm here with homeowner Mimi Bennett, who also designed this gorgeous home we're about to see. Mimi, please take us on a tour.
Lauren, I would absolutely love to. So we've been in our home for just over 3 years, and honestly, it's not all the way complete. I've been doing room by room, and one of the challenges for me is as an interior designer as well as a real estate agent and selling lots of new construction homes. I've seen so many beautiful model homes. So I kind of take different things and inspirations from model homes. A lot of people consider the color black as dark, where for me, I see black as a neutral. So throughout my home, I have a lot of black and beige and creams and grays. However, I feel like they balance each other very well. So everything inside of the house structurally is very square, very hard edges, from the cabinets being square, the windows and the openings. However, every single light fixture is circular. So it's a matter of circles and squares everywhere. So it was very, very important for me to find balance throughout the entire house, with balancing feminine energy as well as masculine energy.
I have been an artist over 25 years, and I have been exhibited nationally and international. For my table design, I was inspired by the Mayan ruins of Tulum, Mexico. It's a beautiful ocean, the white sands, and of course the ruins. For the placemat, my inspiration was the beautiful ocean. I wanted to use the turquoises and the deep blues. For me, when I think about the colors of the beach, I think about the turquoise colors and a combination of blue. So it's up to you what you want to use, but I will recommend at least 4 colors of blues. So pour a little bit of painting of each of the colors, and let's use some of the water on the containers. You gotta realize that there's no way you're gonna mess up anything here. You're just gonna start creating with the brush waves. Do the waves. It doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be free. And then grab different colors and go on top of them and go and start thinking about the waves of the ocean, the color. My favorite colors are the turquoises and the blues. You don't even have to follow the pattern. You can go across and do a different pattern. These brushes are really nice because if you turn them, you can make really thin lines across. Once your canvas is dry, what you're gonna do is paint the edges with gold paint. And it doesn't have to be straight, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just have to have the detail of the gold. This is where the magic is, where the ocean is. And you created this piece of art for every one of your guests, and it's going to be a great conversation piece.
I'm here with Beto Lira, executive chef from One Esca Restaurant Group. Beto is classically trained in international cuisine and is preparing for us today a meal inspired by traditional dishes of the Mayan region in Mexico.
So I travel in the States a lot, but more than anything, I think I learned more cooking from my friends. I was lucky enough to have a lot of friends from different ethnicities. And they taught me, they showed me, they shared, and that's how I got to hone my skills.
For his appetizer course, Beto prepares a Yucatan version of queso relleno.
We're gonna go lengthwise, about a 1/4 inch, cut in the bias. So the inspiration for the menu was based on artists doing her pieces inspired by Tulum. So I went to that region of Mexico for the flavors too as well. I think that it was gonna complement the images, I guess, that she was gonna create. The food in the Mexican Caribbean has very distinctive flavors. I don't think it's that hard, anyone can make it. It's just a lot of preparation. Right before we did the whole dinner, I went to stay in Cancun, and so I got to go to a couple of places while I was there. Obviously, it's very influenced by the Mayan culture. You mix the beef with all of this, and then you add a little salt, a little pepper. So you want to shape the meat the same shape that the bread has. And you're gonna put on the high heat until it gets crusted, and then you're gonna flip it, and you just wanna cook it halfway because it still has to go in the oven. We're gonna set our meat on a tray that you can actually put in the oven. We're gonna cover it with the cheese. Roast your banana peppers over an open flame and chill in the fridge for 15 minutes. Wash them and remove the seeds, then rough chop them. Food is the one thing that we all can relate to, and we all love to eat good. So, I mean, to me, food has to be simple, very straightforward, but not because of that makes it any easy. To me, it is more difficult to have 3 ingredients on a plate and make it taste better than, I mean, you can have 100 things on there and everything's gonna get lost. So that's how I see cooking. We're gonna get the sauce out and we're gonna pass it through a sieve. I'm gonna add a little bit of vinegar to our sauce. Sauce the bottom of your plate first. You wanna get all that cheese in there. Garnish it with the chives. The crostini on top. A little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper. And there you have my version of queso relleno.
I love light. For me, it's a meaning of joy and hope and happiness and coziness. So I like to add that light into my table. We are going to use a piece of translucent paper. And with the pencil, we're going to make the mark of the wave. And then I can do it another mark. Then we're gonna cut these marks. Like I said, the fun part of these projects, they don't have to be perfect to look perfect. Okay, so we do another one. You take it out of the paper. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna roll it right here. And we use some tape, very easy, on the edge. And one more on the middle. Turn our light, and we're gonna put our candlelight right there. To decorate another candle, I wanna use a circle because I remember this beautiful scene in Tulum. In the ruins, there was this building, and it's very famous how the light is going through that hole, and you can see a circle of light. It's just beautiful. My last idea to bring everything together was to create a place card. I wanted something special, a little piece of the beach. You're gonna need a watercolor paper that you're gonna paint the same way we painted our mats. And you're gonna cut it and you're gonna put them together so you can see the pattern of the blues in both sides. You're gonna write down the name of your guests. The next part is to pour the sand. Now we're gonna place our seaweed in one of the edges, and we're gonna choose 2 beads and place them in the side. We're gonna put our name tag. And finally, we're gonna put the light into our beautiful beach scene. And there it is.
For his main course, Beto prepares a banana-wrapped Caribbean-style fish.
We're gonna do about 6 to 7 ounces of fish. We're gonna blend our achiote, garlic, and onion. We're gonna apply heat to the banana leaf in order to make it pliable. Right now it's very hard. It has a wax side and a side that doesn't look, it looks dry. You wanna do the wax side on the flame, and then you're just gonna apply heat to release. You'll see how it changes in color, and then it becomes soft. You're gonna put your fish in the middle of it. You wanna put salt directly onto the fish as well as pepper. So you're going to put the marinade over the fish and let it sit for about 6 hours to absorb the flavors. You're gonna try to keep as much of the sauce in there. So the way I learned to cook and the way I see food is it's just gotta treat it right. I mean, of course you have very complex flavors, but at the end of the day, Mexican food is super simple, and that's what I do. To me, food is something that I want to have my family around. I want to have my friends come into the restaurants and eat comfortable food that they can, relate to. That's gonna steam the vegetables, make sure that they're completely cooked, and then we're gonna set them aside so we can start plating our fish. We're gonna make a roasted pepper sauce, and we're gonna use about 3 peppers. Bring it over to the stove. Add a little water, and on very low heat, whisk the egg until it's warm. Add your blended peppers, and then add some salt. Allow your fish to rest for 5 minutes. Pull the sides. Transfer onto your plate that you're gonna be serving your dinner on. Stand your banana leaf. Then we're gonna serve our potatoes and zucchini mix. Okay, we're gonna put some of the sauce over the potatoes. We're gonna garnish with the chives. And that is my version of tikin chic fish.
For the centerpiece, we're gonna create our own pyramid. We're gonna use a box, a card box, not very tall because you wanna remember you don't wanna hide your guests. We're gonna expand the burlap all over the table. The burlap kind of resembles the rocks and the sand and the earthy tones of the pyramids. I added the rocks, big and different kind of rocks that also give the sense of that pyramid. I brought the jungle by adding greens and plants all over the table because that will give the feeling of all that I saw that first time. Well, I remember back then when I was going up the pyramid, there was a lot of rocks and a lot of climbing, and so I thought if I put it around the centerpiece and throughout the table, I would get that feeling. It was kind of like a nice earthy tone to the table. I found these in a local store that remind me of pottery of those times. It looks kind of old, and I thought it was perfect for the table. So I added touches of blue to resemble the ocean, so it will give a nice contrast to the brown of the burlap. White rock, they remind me a little bit of the white sands of that plate. I also created these little bases with the same sand, with the same ideas. It just adds another element to our table. The lighting is very important because Mayan civilization, they are, one of the many things they do was, they were astrologers. And the light, It's very important to them. And also, I thought it will add kind of like a high-end, cozy feeling to the tablescape. The final touch for our centerpiece is to add light to our table. For me, the tablescape represented all the things that I love. It's the ocean and the beach and the sunset and the light. Mimi had beautiful white plates that had these wavy designs, beautiful, that reminds me of the waves on the ocean. So I added cobalt blue beads as a final touch to put more of the feeling of the ocean in the table. For the glassware, I chose a blue one. It just goes perfect with the cobalt blue color of the beads on the table. I chose a gold one because it goes perfect with the edges of our placemat. I chose a beige napkin and I tied it with a twine that had jungle leaves around it. The contrast of the blues and the browns and the rocks and the light, because for me light is a symbol of joy. The thing I like the most about my tablescape is that all the magic of the beach and the ruins and the jungle came together. It was beautiful because of all those colors and contrasts. You really are experiencing the magic town of the Mayan ruins of Tulum.
For his dessert course, Beto makes sweet potato beignets with habanero honey.
So we're gonna start by peeling our sweet potatoes. For the honey, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the peppers. They use a lot of sweet potatoes, yucas, and potatoes in general. The candies in Mexico are different than candies everywhere, right? I mean, we eat a lot of spicy with sweet, like mangoes, dry fruits, which are very, very sweet, and then we cover them with like salt and pepper and chilies and whatnot. So I did use sweet potato because I know that it's something that you use in that region of the country, and then I created a dish that it was not necessarily something that you can eat if you go to that part of Mexico, but you're gonna find the flavors familiar to that place. For our dough, we're gonna need a mixing bowl. We're gonna use our potatoes. With a wire whisk, we're just gonna smash them. Okay. Break them with your hand. We'll add the heavy cream, condensed milk, flour, and our baking powder. Then you're gonna let this rest for about 2 hours. I'm gonna use canola oil. Bring it to 220 degrees. It's been about 2 minutes. You just gotta flip them, make sure that they're golden brown everywhere. So we're gonna warm the sweet potato in the oven. Habanero honey. Just glaze the whole of it. We're gonna grab our little beignets, sprinkle with powdered sugar. We're gonna do ice cream. In this case, I'm gonna use Nutella ice cream. My wife loves it. And we're gonna garnish our sweet potato with a little bit of fresh peppermint. And there you have it.
Beto's meal was absolutely phenomenal. So the fish wrapped in the banana leaf was a very, very cool concept. I'm into how things are presented, and the fish presented very, very well. Leticia's tablescape was absolutely beautiful. I really felt that her design really captured the feel of Tulum and the ruins and the beaches. Paired with Beto's meal, it just really felt like we were in Tulum.
To friends.
To friends. Thanks for joining us. On our website, artisanchefs.com, you will find detailed recipes, table creation tips, and a list of local retailers where you can purchase our table and meal kits to create your own custom dinner party.